Everyone thought Grant Miller was just a quiet black janitor who mopped floors at Rose City Dojo, someone the students barely noticed, someone the instructors laughed at behind his back. So when Tyler Rhodes, a cocky white black belt, pointed at Grant's mop and sneered, "Hey, old man, want a spar? I need a warm-up," the whole room cracked up. Grant simply smiled and stepped onto the mat. They didn't know his hands once ended careers. They didn't know his name was whispered in locker rooms worldwide. They didn't know he vanished after a fight that changed a life. But they were about to, and nothing would be the same. Grant Miller moved like a shadow through the halls of Rose City Dojo, pushing his mop bucket the same way every night, quietly, efficiently, with the patience of a man who'd learned never to rush life. To most people here, he wasn't Mr. Miller, Grant, or even Sir. He was just the janitor, the one who emptied trash and scrubbed sweat from the mats after the real athletes went home. No one noticed the way he moved, light on his feet, spine straight, eyes calmly measuring the room like every detail mattered. They only noticed his uniform-faded work pants, scuffed shoes, hands rough from labor. It was enough for them to judge. Tonight, the dojo was unusually crowded. A group of young fighters had just finished training, bragging loudly about kicks and takedowns, replaying their sparring clips for anyone who would watch. Front and center stood Tyler Rhodes, white, tall, ripped with confidence that came from trophies more than discipline, a black belt who treated the rank like a crown. Tyler spotted Grant near the corner, wiping down a row of benches. His mouth curled into a smirk. "Hey, mop man," he shouted. A wave of snickers followed. "You missed a spot, but I get it must be hard to see dirt from down there." Grant paused. A gentle smile barely touched his lips. "I'll get it," he said softly. Then he continued wiping. Tyler wasn't satisfied. Guys like him never were. He strutted closer, clapping loudly to draw more attention. "You know," he said, pointing at the mat, "real men train here. Not just push brooms." More laughter. A young student, newer, nervous, whispered, "Come on, man, leave him alone." Tyler waved him off. "What? I'm trying to help him. Maybe he wants to learn how to defend himself." He leaned forward theatrically. "Hey, old man, want a spar? I need a warm-up." The room erupted. Grant didn't raise his eyes. Just kept working. But Tyler wasn't done. "Oh, is this too much for you? Didn't mean to scare you." He tapped his black belt. "I mean, I get it. This is for real fighters, not janitors." The word landed heavily, not because Grant cared about the insult he'd heard worse, but because the crowd reacted. He saw young faces learning the wrong lesson. Strength equals arrogance. Rank equals superiority. Grant finally set the rag aside and straightened. He didn't puff his chest or drop a clever line. He just looked at Tyler, calm, steady, unreadable. "I'm busy," he said. "Please, don't make trouble." That should have been the end of it. But Tyler saw Grant's refusal as disrespect. He stepped even closer, invading his space. "What's wrong, old man?" he taunted. "You scared?" Grant took a slow breath. He sensed the room shifting, students gathering, phones lifting, whispers building. This wasn't about fighting. It was about humiliation. Tyler jabbed a finger at his chest. "I'm giving you a chance to do something with your life besides scrub sweat. Be grateful." The students waited for Grant to shrink back, to apologize, to walk away. Instead, Grant's eyes lifted. Deep, quiet, the kind of gaze that sees everything. "If you insist," he said softly, "I'll spar." A silence fell over the room. The laughter died. And for the first time, Tyler's smirk wavered. A hush washed over the dojo. No one expected the janitor to say yes. Tyler blinked, momentarily thrown. Then the grin returned sharper, meaner. "All right then," he said loudly, turning to the crowd. "You heard him. We've got a match." Cheers erupted. Some out of excitement, others out of disbelief that a janitor would dare step onto the mat. Grant quietly wheeled his cleaning cart to the wall and slipped off his worn work jacket. Underneath, he wore a plain black t-shirt, nothing fancy, nothing athletic, just functional. But as the fabric stretched over his shoulders, a few students noticed something. He wasn't built like a frail old man. He was lean, compact, like someone who had spent years conditioning muscle for use rather than appearance. Tyler cracked his knuckles. "You sure about this, old man?" Grant nodded once. "Yes." They stepped onto the mat. Grant bowed slow, respectful. Tyler gave a sloppy bow back, more mockery than tradition. Phones came up. Someone whispered, "This is gonna be ugly." Another, "Man's about to get folded." The instructor, Mr. Hayes, entered from the back room, confusion crossing his face. "What's going on?" Tyler lifted his hands. "Friendly spar," he agreed. Mr. Hayes looked at Grant. "You don't have to do this," Grant answered simply. "It's fine." The instructor hesitated, then sighed and gestured. "Light contact only." Tyler immediately smirked. Of course. Everyone in the room knew that meant nothing. They squared off. Tyler took an aggressive stance, hands high, weight forward, bouncing on the balls of his feet. He looked like a fighter ready to finish things quickly. Grant stood relaxed, feet natural, shoulders loose, hands down. It wasn't cockiness. It was confidence, the kind that didn't need to prove anything. The room leaned in. Tyler struck first fast, a sharp jab followed by a snapping right kick. Grant didn't counter, didn't flinch. He simply wasn't where the strikes landed. He moved like he already knew what Tyler would throw, like he'd seen this exact attack 1,000 times. A few students gasped. "What? How did he?" Tyler gritted his teeth. Fine. If the old man wanted to dance, he'd press harder. He launched forward with a flurry punches, elbows, knees, kick after kick, a storm of technique designed to overwhelm. Grant barely seemed to move, just subtle footwork, small angles, effortless slips that let every strike pass by inches. His breathing never changed. His expression never shifted. It wasn't luck. It was mastery. Tyler swung a final wide roundhouse full power, meant to impress the watching crowd. Grant stepped inside the arc, smooth, precise, and tapped Tyler's chest with 2 fingers. Just a tap. Barely anything. But Tyler stumbled backward as, if shoved. He hadn't expected contact or how effortlessly it found him. The room reacted not with laughter this time, but with something new. Unease. Whispers climbed the walls. "Who is this guy? He's playing with him. No way, he's just a janitor." Tyler's face flushed red, rattled, embarrassed. He lunged again, harder, angrier, and Grant was still calm. Whatever was happening, this wasn't the fight anyone imagined. And it was only beginning. Tyler's frustration was turning into something darker. He wasn't used to being the one who couldn't land a hit. A room full of students watched him chase a janitor like a rookie swinging at shadows. Grant stayed still between movements, posture loose, eyes quiet. He didn't taunt. He didn't brag. He simply observed, measured. "Stop running," Tyler barked, breath sharp. Grant answered calmly, "I'm not running. You're just not reaching." More laughter in the room now. Not at Grant, but at Tyler. That only poured gasoline on the fire. Tyler attacked again, a sudden low sweep meant to take Grant's legs. Smart, efficient, a move that would floor most trained fighters. But Grant shifted back, barely lifting his foot, just enough to let the sweep pass underneath. In the same motion, he rested that lifted foot on Tyler's thigh, a touch so light it seemed accidental, and used it as leverage to push back, reclaiming distance effortlessly. Students stared wide-eyed. It looked impossible, too smooth, too practiced. Mr. Hayes, the instructor, narrowed his gaze. Something about the way Grant moved. He'd seen it before, not in beginners, not in average black belts, in masters. He stepped closer, studying the janitor intently. Tyler came up fast, fury shaking his muscles. His strikes grew wild, less technique, more emotion. A spinning back fist, followed by a driving knee, both powerful, both wasted. Grant slid around, every attack like he was guiding the aggression away, as if Tyler's energy belonged to him now. Finally, Grant spoke. "Slow your breath," Tyler snarled. "Shut up." He charged full force a tackle. Raw power. Grant didn't retreat. He stepped in, placed a palm gently behind Tyler's elbow, redirected the force, and let gravity finish the work. Tyler hit the mat so fast the sound cracked through the room. Everyone froze. Grant hadn't thrown him. He'd let Tyler throw himself. The crowd erupted half in awe, half in shock. A few even clapped. Tyler scrambled upright, red-faced. That was a fluke. No one believed him now, not even his own training partners. Grant simply nodded once. Again, if you want. Tyler rushed. Grant pivoted and Tyler landed on his back. Again. No force, no violence, just perfect timing. People were whispering now, but not quietly. That's Aikido? No, looks like Wing Chun. Maybe Judo? No. Way, have you seen his balance? Could be something military. Mr. Hayes stepped forward finally. Sir, where did you train? Grant didn't answer immediately. His eyes lowered like that question touched a locked room inside him. Long time ago, he said. Different life. Everyone leaned in. Different life? What did that mean? Tyler stood again, slower this time. Less rage, more fear. He approached cautiously, hands trembling from adrenaline. Grant raised a hand. That's enough. The room went silent. The command wasn't loud, but it carried weight. Heavy, authoritative, like an order from someone used to being obeyed. Tyler froze mid-step, and something inside him knew he was outmatched. Completely. Mr. Hayes broke the silence. You're not a janitor. Grant didn't deny it. He only replied, I clean floors now. But everyone there knew that wasn't the whole story. Not even close. The dojo buzzed like a kicked hornet's nest. Students whispered, replaying every second in their minds the impossible dodges, the effortless throws, the way Grant's voice alone had stopped Tyler cold. Tyler paced, humiliated, but the fire in him hadn't gone out, it had changed. He wasn't looking to win anymore. He was looking to expose Grant. You're lying, Tyler spat. No janitor moves like that. Grant exhaled, tired. He didn't look offended, just weary, like he'd spent a lifetime trying not to have this conversation. Mr. Hayes stepped forward. Grant, I've trained 30 years, he said quietly, and I've only seen footwork like yours in people who've gone beyond belts. Grant's jaw tightened. Beyond belts. A phrase only the oldest masters used. Tyler scoffed. So what? You think he's some kind of secret grandmaster? No one laughed. Not after what they'd just seen. Grant sighed. I'm not here to be anything, he murmured. I'm just working. I clean. But Mr. Hayes shook his head. You're hiding. Silence. Heavy. Grant looked around the room, faces full of curiosity, awe, fear. He looked at Tyler, then at the mop leaning against the wall. That mop told his whole story, a quiet life, intentionally small. He could have kept refusing, kept dodging. But something in Tyler's stare, the same arrogance, the same hunger, stirred memories he'd buried too deeply. He spoke softly. I held rank. Once. Tyler barked a laugh. What rank? Purple? Brown? Maybe a black belt from YouTube? Grant's eyes lifted. No anger, just truth. 10th degree black belt. The room went dead silent. Even the air seemed to stop moving. 10th degree. A level that didn't even officially exist in most systems, a level spoken about like myth. Tyler stared, mouth open. That's impossible, Mr. Hayes whispered. Only tournament legends get that kind of recognition. Grant nodded once. I was one of them. The room tilted. Tyler's confidence crumbled. He had asked a veteran lion to wrestle, not knowing the lion was muzzled by choice. But why are you here? Mr. Hayes asked. Why hide in a school with a mop? Grant swallowed. My wife got sick. His voice thinned. I walked away from everything. Now the room softened. Students looked down, shame settling in. Tyler's eyes flickered, anger collapsing into something unsure. Grant continued quietly. I promised her. No more violence. No more fighting. I'd just take care of our boy. A collective ache pressed into the walls. Loss had weight, and everyone felt it. He looked at Tyler, really looked at him. You wanted to prove something, Grant said. I get that, but fighting isn't about pride. It's about discipline, respect, and knowing when to stop. Tyler swallowed hard. His chest tightened. He wasn't looking at a janitor anymore. He was looking at a man who'd lived worlds beyond him, worlds of victory, pain, and sacrifice. I'm sorry, Tyler muttered. 4 small words, but they landed heavy. Grant shook his head. You don't owe me anything. Just learn. Grow better than me. Mr. Hayes stepped forward, bowing deeper than he'd ever bowed to any master. You're welcome here, he said. Anytime. As a teacher, or just a man. Grant bowed back. Simple. Humble. He picked up his mop and walked toward the exit. But before he left, he turned to Tyler. If you want, he said, come find me after class. I'll train you. For real. Gasps filled the room. Grant stepped out, leaving behind a room forever changed. The dojo was quiet when Tyler showed up the next morning. No audience, no cheering teammates. Just the faint hum of fluorescent lights and the echo of his own heartbeat. Grant was already there, mop bucket. Aside, sweeping the mats alone. No uniform, just loose work pants and a faded gray t-shirt. Like yesterday never happened. Tyler swallowed, his pride bruised, but not broken. He bowed stiffly. I'm here, Grant nodded. I know. No lecture, no ego, just instruction. Warm up. Tyler jogged laps, fired through push-ups, stretched his shoulders trying to burn off nerves. But Grant watched him the way a surgeon studies anatomy, seeing every imbalance, every flaw. Stop! Tyler froze mid-stretch. Grant stepped forward and gently tapped Tyler's stance with his foot. You balance from your heels, he said. That's why you stumbled yesterday. Tyler's jaw tensed, but he adjusted. Grant circled him. Hands too high, chin too proud. You fight like you think you're invincible. Tyler exhaled. Maybe I used to. Grant nodded. That's the first step. Now we begin. They squared off. But this time, Grant didn't move. Like a ghost, he moved like a teacher. He placed Tyler's hands where they belonged, shifted his weight, angled his hips. When you fight, Grant said, you're not fighting a person. You're fighting their choices. Tyler frowned. What does that even mean? Grant smiled, barely. You'll see. He tapped Tyler's shoulder. Hit me. Tyler threw a straight punch. Clean, sharp. Grant blocked. Barely. Another punch. Grant slipped it. Third punch. Grant caught his wrist, redirected, and Tyler spun off balance. He didn't fall, but his breath stuttered. Grant nodded. Better, they continued. Every strike Tyler threw, Grant answered with just enough pressure to show the hole in his technique. A lazy guard tap, a sloppy foot placement nudge, rushing forward light sweep, no punishment. Just correction wrapped in consequence. Each mistake became a bruise, a memory. After a while, Tyler's lungs burned, sweat dripped into his eyes. But something inside him sharpened ego melting into discipline. Grant spoke between exchanges. When you enter a fight angry, you've already lost. Tyler caught his breath. You fought angry once? Grant's gaze drifted far beyond the room. Yes, he paused. And someone I loved. Paid for it. Silence. Heavy. Tyler didn't ask more. Didn't need to. Truth lived in Grant's voice. They resumed. Grant moved faster now, not brutal, but overwhelming. Tyler tried to counter, he was thrown. He tried to kick, he was spun. He tried to rush, he hit the mat again. But every time, Grant offered a hand and pulled him back up, over and over. When they finally stopped, Tyler sank to his knees, panting. Grant crouched beside him. You think yesterday was about humiliation? He said. But real humiliation is being given truth and refusing it. Tyler lifted his head. So what's today about? Grant's voice softened. Choice. Tyler didn't understand. Not fully, but he listened. Grant placed a hand on his shoulder. You can stay angry, or you can learn. Only one of those paths goes anywhere worth walking. Tyler nodded slowly. I want to learn. For the first time, Grant smiled with warmth. Good. Then tomorrow we start over. Tyler blinked. Again? Grant stood, lifting the mop handle like a wooden staff. Mastery is repetition, he said. Not applause. Tyler pushed himself to his feet. Same time? Grant nodded. Same time. Tyler bowed. Deeper this time. Respectful. As he headed for the door, Grant called after him, Tell your father I said hello. Tyler froze. How did you know my dad? Grant didn't answer, just went back to mopping. Tyler's heart thundered. Something big, something buried was waiting. And tomorrow? it would surface. The sky over the community center was still dark. Next morning, not dawn, not night, just that gray hush before the world decides what it wants to be. Tyler arrived early. Earlier than Grant. Earlier than anyone. He stretched, replaying every movement from the day before, feeling yesterday's bruises like distant whispers. He didn't know why, but something about what Grant said last night had carved its way inside him. "Tell your father I said hello." Those words hadn't left his head. When the door opened, Grant walked in wearing the same faded t-shirt, same quiet expression. But today, something in his posture was sharper. "Ready?" he asked. Tyler nodded. "More than yesterday." Grant set his mop aside. "Good. Today you'll lead." Tyler blinked. "What?" Grant motioned. "Show me your stance." Tyler did. More grounded, more aware. Grant circled him, but there was no correction this time, just observation. "Again," Grant said. "Punch." Tyler struck clean, confident. Grant smiled faintly. "Better." They moved sparring, countering, stepping. Tyler wasn't trying to win today, just trying to understand. Every step felt familiar now. Every mistake felt like progress. Grant stopped suddenly. "Good enough," Tyler frowned. "Already?" Grant nodded toward the office. "Sit. There's something you should know." Tyler followed him inside. A small table, 2 chairs, nothing else. Grant closed the door. The air felt heavier. "You asked how I knew your father." Tyler leaned forward. "Yes." Grant sat slowly. "I trained him." Shock flashed across Tyler's face. "My dad. But he never said." "He wouldn't," Grant said. He walked away before he learned what mattered. Tyler blinked. "Why?" Grant's jaw tensed. He fought angry. Too much pride. Too much rage. Tyler swallowed. "Did he lose?" Grant shook his head. "No. He won. That was the problem. A beat. During a tournament, your father lost control. Hurt someone badly. Someone innocent." Tyler's eyes widened. "What happened to them?" Grant's voice softened. "She was my sister." Silence, cold, suffocating. Tyler froze. His heartbeat hammered. I didn't know," he whispered. "You couldn't," Grant said. "Your father wanted to forget. He left this world behind, and I let him." Tyler tried to speak, but words dissolved. Grant continued. "When you stepped on that mat the first day I saw him, the anger, the arrogance, the pain you didn't understand." Tyler's eyes stung. "So yesterday and today, you were trying to fix what he broke?" Grant shook his head gently. "No. I was trying to make sure you didn't repeat him." Tyler exhaled slow, shaky. He looked at his hands. They had thrown punches, but suddenly felt too heavy to lift. "So, all this was for me?" Grant nodded. "And for her." Tyler wiped his face. "What do I do now?" Grant leaned forward. "You keep training, not to fight people, but to fight who you could become if you don't learn control." Tyler nodded. "I will." Grant stood. "Then we're done for today." They walked back into the dojo. Light had finally begun weaving into the windows, morning claiming the room. As Tyler turned to leave, Grant called out, "Tyler!" He stopped. "Yes?" Grant bowed. Deep, respectful. "Thank you for choosing to learn," he said. Tyler bowed back lower than ever before. "Thank you for teaching me." He stepped outside. For the first time in years, he felt lighter, not stronger, not faster, just clearer. He knew who he didn't want to be. He knew who he could be. And he knew this wasn't an ending. It was the beginning of the man he was meant to become.